I'll just stay mute.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to midway between Frankfurt and Stuttgart here in Germany at the Hockenheimring for tonight's Formula C German Grand Prix. My name is Matthew Nordberg. Joining me up in the booth for tonight for his first CIL race, or Formula C race, I should say. He's commentating. It's Keith Brubaker. We're looking forward to a fantastic race tonight as we have this 2.81 mile track that used to host the Formula One German Grand Prix every other year, rotating with the Nürburgring as our venue for this evening. Keith, qualifying is just about to start here at the Hockenheimring. Going to be a pretty interesting race, and I think lots of great passing opportunities here for our drivers.
Yeah, and like you were saying, F1 has been here at occasional times, and every time F1 has been here, there's been great racing, so that only means that these smaller cars that may not have quite as much downforce and speed are going to have even better opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Lots of long drafting zones here, especially out of turn 2 and all the way down to the hairpin. That's going to be our major action zone tonight as you see the cars on the backside of the track right now warming up their tires for an outlap here as we get a look around this track. It's going to be a fun one to watch as our drivers are getting ready to start their qualifying laps here. Keith, what are you looking out for in qualifying specifically?
I mean, the biggest thing is just making sure you stay on the track, because this track does have a lot of, quick turns that you got to watch going off track. I was practicing earlier, and I just couldn't seem to keep that car in track, especially going into that last turn. You got to very, very much watch for track limits.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen track limits be a problem in the CIL this season, most notably at the Circuit of the Americas West track we were at just a few weeks ago. Lots of off-tracks there, and that's something you tend to get around these FIA Grade 1 tracks. A lot more asphalt runoff than you might expect to see at some of the classic North American tracks, such as Road Atlanta or Watkins Glen, where really the runoff is just gravel or grass or maybe even a wall, depending on the track. So keeping it on track is going to be super important here, but we're riding on board right now with Austin DeLong out of the Penn College of Technology. That 22 car, a veteran of the CIL in the student class, starts his first lap now here. Keith, take us around for a lap.
Alright, so we're going into turn 1. You want to get onto that brake, get down about second gear. You're going to take as much of the curbing as you can. It does look like, unfortunately, he is going to be catching up some traffic, so his lap might be impeded. But you're going to try to brake down right about the 100 mark, slow down into second, take the curb as much as you can to get route on the gas. But you got to make sure you also don't get on the gas too much as you're getting ready to go another turn. You take it wide again, and you just want to stay full throttle up until about the next turn, where again, you want to keep an eye out for those brake markers. But this is a nice wide sweeping turn. I'm totally lost on the track. Give me one second, guys. Up, here we go. I now caught up. So now we want to try to brake, again, right where the curbing goes down, get down into about second gear, take the curb as close as possible, take as much of that track wide, does look like, unfortunately, Austin's lap did get a little impeded, so he wasn't able to get all of it, but looks like he was able to make up the time as he's coming in. Again, you want to brake. You want to get as much speed in the turn, but you also want to brake. Here we go again. You want to come down 50 marker, get down to about second. Oh, he took a little wider than I normally take it. Again, eat all that curb, more curbing. And these guys are taking these tracks quick that I know of. Again, using all the track possible and getting up to speed, accelerating out of corners. And this corner is a very fast corner, so you don't really have to worry about decelerating a little bit, but you still have to accelerate. You want to get to the 50 marker, slow down, and take as much curb as possible because you want to accelerate out, taking all of that curbing again. And then same thing with the following turn. You want to slow down into about third or second here, depending on how you're taking it. He got a little bit of different setup than I was practicing, so he's taking it quicker than I was. Again, curbing. And then you take as much as you can, and then he's going to cross the line, and let's see what that time is.
Yeah,
does look like...
Yeah, I was just to say they're Austin DeLong. A pretty decent lap, puts him up into the 6th spot right now. But it is our Muhammad Leaf, however, who is on the provisional pole position at the moment. That is a position that he's pretty familiar with at this point in the season. We see him up there fighting at the top of the field a lot. And right behind him, it's his Ball State teammate of Cale Davidson.
Yeah, those Ball State drivers this year have been very, very competitive. It's as you can see right now, Leaf is currently leading this qualifying. He's been dominating this season. I unfortunately missed the last 2 races due to other obligations, but he, I know, has won basically the first 2, and it just seems like those Ball State guys are working very well together.
Yeah, we've heard the Ball State drivers tonight. We have our Muhammad Leaf, Cale Davidson, and Lucas Moody. They were 1, 2, 3 in practice, but they did say how much they work together and how much. Our Muhammad Leaf, he's a quick guy, and he's really taking some of these younger esports drivers from Ball State under his wing and kind of showing them the ropes, almost as a student coach for that Ball State team. As the Leaf crosses the line here again, does not look like he's able to improve on his best lap time at the moment, as he goes a little bit off the track there, and there his Ball State teammate of Lucas Moody has made it a Ball State 1, 2, 3. So absolute great lap from Lucas Moody there to lock out the first 3 positions for Ball State. The first alumni in the field right now, though, in qualifying in the 5th spot from Binghamton University, it's Alex Hallinar, as he eats a little bit of the curb there and gets ready to go down this long backstretch turn towards turn 6.
Yeah, it's like they were saying, these Ball State guys are very dominant, but we also do have to keep in mind that we have some super, super talented drivers. I was talking with Matt earlier before broadcast, and these guys are super, super top-notch quality. Like, they're putting in those speed times that you see at the high 2,000, 3,000 IR rating. So anything can happen. This is just to set, your grid for the race. And in the race, it's just about who can get off that line quickest and who can get their tires down without, messing up the tires.
Yeah, qualifying pace super important. You always want to have the good track position, but this Hockenheimring is it's pretty famous for that hairpin down there at turn 6, where a lot of action can happen. And even if you're in a great spot, all it takes is one mistake from another driver to really put you out of position and impact your finishing position. As it's very tight down there. It's probably one of the tightest corners on the iRacing service. So we see Alex Hallinar here. He's sliding his way through this stadium section right now, a little bit onto the dirt there, as we ride on board a little bit for this last part of the lap for the Binghamton University driver of the 057. Through these last couple of corners, it's so tricky to judge where you got to place that car, because it's very easy to go a little bit wide, or if you're not pushing enough, you can very easily underdrive the corner and lose out on a little bit of time there in the last 2 sectors.
I'm definitely very surprised that he did not lose that lap, because iRacing's track limits on this track are pretty particular, because even when I was practicing, I just kept going off. I was just off by a little bit. So looks like they may have found some luck.
Yeah, as you see the second, or the top alumni in the field, Nicholas Patinella there slides through the last corner. I was going to say he's currently the top alumni in the field. He just set a lap time a little bit quicker than Alex Hallinar, and Patinella will go get some fresh rubber there after sliding through the last couple of corners. But another driver who's jumped up the field a little bit, Andrew Williams out of Clemson University in the 23 car, heading down towards the hairpin turn 6 now. Let's see if he's able to get this stopped in time. And it's very tidy on the apex there. And a little fun fact about Drew Williams, I'll have to call him out here because he has shared this information with us. He does not left foot brake. He uses that right foot for throttle and braking, which is very interesting, especially in one of these Formula 4 cars where braking is so important and you really want to get off that throttle and onto the brake, as fast as possible.
Well, so I'll be very curious to see how he does tonight, because I know with the Drew does the Cup Series also on top of Formula C, and I'll be very curious to see, does he mimic the results he got the other night before the chaos happened. But that is a very interesting fact, as these cars are very, very particular about braking. You take a braking corner wrong, you're going to spin it, and possibly that's the end of your night.
Yeah, we have about 4 minutes left in qualifying here now. Still a Ball State 1-2-3. A great effort from those drivers. Our Muhammad Leaf leading the way with a 140.040. Drew Williams now crosses the line. He cannot improve on his lap time, but Alex Hallinar has just crossed in front of him and did as he jumped up. He's about 1.2 seconds behind a Leaf right now.
Yeah, I'm watching these times come in. This is going to be, I think, a very interesting race, because I think you're going to see a front pack, come together, and I think you're going to see more of a midfield pack, because these times are within seconds of each other. I mean, I think you're going to see that the Ball State group stick together, and then maybe another pack, because these times are looking very competitive.
Yeah, for sure. And another team that we do want to highlight tonight that is has a couple drivers in the field is St. Clair College, led by Athena Leclerc right now. She's currently sitting in that 10th spot. St. Clair, another one of those schools. We have a few of them in this series which have a lot of school support. Ball State obviously at the top of the field right now, but St. Clair has also put a lot of effort into their sim racing program, and we see them getting pretty good results throughout the year. I think Athena Leclerc has bagged a couple podiums this year, which I'm sure she can be very happy about, as she enters the stadium sector now, hoping to improve on a 142.068, currently sitting in the 11th spot, in front of her teammate from St. Clair, Adrian Jabakovic, who's currently down in 20th right now, as well as Tristan Leclerc, who's in 19th for St. Clair.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they're doing, because I know their iRacing program is a relatively large program to the school, but they're still relatively new, that I've been told, and I'm going to also be very interested to hear, because it does sound like they might be getting involved in a little bit of broadcasting on the side of things. So I'm going to be very interested to hear how, all these teams are getting very interested in the iRacing, how it helps develop programs, such a, at that school.
Yeah, for sure. And as we look down our field right now at Ball State University, still with the 1-2-3, as Ricky Paz there from Valparaiso runs a little bit wide out of the last corner. But Ball State 1-2-3 at the moment, followed by Florida International's Robert Kiesel Jr., Alex Hallinar in 5th for Binghamton, and then Mount St. Mary's Christian Hill in that 6th spot, the second alumni in the field. And then we saw Drew Williams earlier, obviously riding aboard with Ricky Paz right now. He's in the 8th spot. Robert Morris is Nicholas Patinella is in the 9th spot. And then Penn College of Technology's Austin DeLong is sitting in 10th, as we see Valparaiso slide through the grass here, doing a little bit of lawn mowing on the outside of what they call Parabolica. That's turn 5 here at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, it's a very expensive lawnmower he has, and unfortunately I think that's going to be the end of his qualifying session, as it does look like time is running down. They're jumping on board with Esteban Munoz. He does look like he is fighting maybe, and it looks like he might be on a flyer lap, and he could be fighting for that 5th or even that 4th slot if he gets the right timing here, but it does look like, unfortunately, this lap is going to be a canceled lap, as he missed at that apex.
Yeah, time is running out, only 20 seconds now. Only a handful of drivers, I think, are going to be able to cross the line one final time. One of them, I don't think Nicholas Stockner's going to get there in time. Let's see, will Christian Hill get there in time? No, he won't. Maybe Alex Hallinar. Alex Hallinar sliding through the final corner now. We'll see if he can improve on a 5th place finish in qualifying, and I don't think he can, as that wraps up our qualifying session here, as we are about to run through the grid for your first of 2 races tonight here from the Hockenheimring for the German Grand Prix. And it's a Ball State front row lockout. Our Muhammad Leaf takes pole position over Cale Davidson, who starts in the 2nd position, with Lucas Moody from Ball State sitting in 3rd for a 1-2-3 from Ball State. The Cardinals with a great qualifying effort, as Robert Kiesel Jr. put that Florida International University Panther Esports Formula 4 car on the 2nd row in 4th. Looking back further throughout the field. Oh, go ahead.
I got it. Yeah, so it's going to be. So it looks like we have, like Kira's saying, that we got the Florida International 4th and 6th. We also got Esteban Munoz in the same car, and then Alex Hallinar for Bennington University in 5th. Andrew Williams for Clemson in 8th, with Christian Hill, which I'm surprised how well he did for how little he's been running, for Mount St. Mary's in 7th. And then Nicholas Paninis for Robin Morris in 10th, and then Ricky Paz in 9th for Valparaiso University.
Yeah, looking back, a couple other drivers, Austin DeLong in 11th for Penn College of Technology, and Athena Leclerc, the top St. Clair driver, in 12th. Looking at the back half of the grid right now, it's Jason Wall from Drexel in 13th, Nicholas Stockner in 14th from Clemson, Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College in 15th, Ryan Dunham from Embry-Riddle in 16th, Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair in 17th. 18th will be Michael Tognati from the College of San Mateo. 19th, Timothy Williams from Drexel University, the second Drexel Esports driver. And I think our drivers are about ready to go here for the race now, as the lights are about to come on the front of the grid, as the 5 lights are on, and we are away here for the first race of the German Grand Prix. Alex Hallner with a poor start as the Ball State cars get away well at the front of the pack right now. Action in the further back. 3 wide looks like, with Christian Hill there potentially in a little bit of a pickle. Oh, a little bit loose for Alex Hallinar there as they continue to race down towards turn 2. First heavy braking zone. It looks like there's a car slow back on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, and I just got some word from race control. This might make things interesting, as they were saying there's a possibility for some pits tonight because fuel with the base setup is going to be low. So I'm excited to see what happens now that there was possible pit strategy involved.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see as we see a little bit of action, as it looks like Drew Williams and that Clemson University driver is going to be the meat in the sandwich of 3 wide going down into turn 6 here. That's going to be on the inside, Alex Hallinar in the green car, and Ricky Paz on the outside for Valparaiso in the pink car. But 3 into 1 does not go, and it looks like Ricky Paz is going to have to concede that position, as it looks like Drew Williams is going to have to concede to Alex Hallinar as well, as there's action throughout the field right now. At the front, though, it's R. Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, and Lucas Moody as they started for Ball State University as a 1-2-3.
Yeah, that's some good battling right there with the 57 of Alex Hallinar, and it did look like that was Drew Williams with Clemson. They're fighting, and they just got very close. I'm honestly surprised Netcode didn't get involved, but fortunately for both of them, they're still driving as Drew goes a little wide going in that turn, but was able to save it.
Yeah, looking further back in the pack, Ryan Dunham from Embry-Riddle in the 505 is trying to make a move here on Tristan Leclerc, who's in 15th right now for St. Clair College. A little bit wide in that corner for Leclerc. That's going to give Dunham the opportunity. Oh, Dunham put the wheel in the grass, and that's not where the grip is as he slides off the drag strip. We saw those F1 cars slide through in their most recent visit to the Hockenheimring. But elsewhere throughout the field right now, we see Drew Williams closing back on Alex Hallinar. That's a fight for the 7th position that's heating up right now as they come out of turn 1. Drew Williams in that Clemson machine is going to look to the inside of the Binghamton University car and will slide through to make the pass and move himself up into 7th, but Hallinar is going to fight this one back, and he's going to have the draft all the way down this long straightaway.
Yeah, these guys are going to be good battling. You were saying these cars don't have DRS like Formula 1, but they do heavily rely on each other's drafts, as does look like Drew is probably going to lose out on the outside to Hallinar, but who knows? These guys are super high quality drivers, so we don't know. But it does look like Hallinar. It looks like someone was off up front, so that traffic might play into this factor. But it does look like Hallinar did end up, Drew Williams ended up winning up that battle as Hallinar went wide.
Yeah, Hallinar had the inside line. Brake probably a little too late, and Drew Williams recognized it. Hit the brakes, was able to let the Binghamton car slide past, and he pulled the over-under move to perfection there as the battle is heating between Christian Hill and Esteban Munoz. Those were the cars we saw fighting in turn 6 in front of Drew Williams and Alex Hallinar as they make their way down towards the stadium section now. The gap is about 2/10 between them right now. It's very difficult to pass in the stadium section unless you see a mistake. We see that corner there is a little bit banked. It gets a little bit more momentum through it. But we see a little bit of action in the back as Andrew Burrell from Clemson fighting past Ryan Bannon and Ethan Decatur from Valparaiso as well. Also swapping spots right now. That's for 18th at the moment. And the fight to the front, things have spread out a little bit, about 5/10 between first and second and second and third. Those Ball State cars currently flying in order right now. As we see cars really sliding the rear end as Athena Leclerc has entered the pits.
Yeah, so I'll be very curious to see, as like I said, the track limits are going to be a big factor today. I'll be really curious to see if any of these drivers unfortunately get drive-throughs, because it does look like a lot of them are sending it into that corner a little too hard. And like I was saying earlier at the beginning of this session, I think these packs are going to start breaking out. You're going to see battles. As, Austin DeLong is currently fighting with Ricky Paz going into these turns, and it's just going to be battle. You're going to be battling with your closest team and just want to stick with somebody like they do in NASCAR. You want to get that draft.
Yeah, riding on board with Austin DeLong, we see Ricky Paz defend that inside line into turn 6. It's going to be very difficult to make a move around the outside there as Ricky Paz is able to defend using that inside line. As ahead of them, it looks like it's Drew Williams, Alex Hallen are up the road just a couple seconds in front of Ricky Paz. DeLong is trying to make some ground up, but Ricky Paz's Valparaiso teammate of Ethan Decatur is also closing in on Adrian Tubakovic from St. Clair College right now. That's a battle we're going to go back and take a look on here in a moment. As, the 00 of Ethan Decatur, I think, has tried to make a move on Tubakovic, but couldn't quite make it stick there. As we see Andrew Burrell, the Clemson car, the 888, he's off the track there.
I'd be very curious to see what happened. Did he just kind of maybe brake a little bit too late, or just maybe it was tapped, and that's it. Who knows? With these cars, anything is very possible, and especially with iRacing, sometimes netcode, unfortunately, is a fact of racing, and you gotta accept that fact. As Ricky Paz goes way wide and going off, but very fortunate was able to come back on and was able to survive, as Austin DeLong is still hunting him for that position.
Yeah, I think if you have off tracks to give, you kind of have to live with being off track and kind of just use it to your advantage, but you got to be careful not to get a slowdown, which is, it's very difficult in turn 1. There is a slowdown penalty if you take too much of an off track, as we see a fight between, I think it's Andrew Burrell in 17th and Valparaiso's Ethan Decatur in 18th. Those two have swapped positions. The fight at the front of the field is starting to heat up between these two Ball State teammates right now. At R. Muhammad Ali from the 12 and Cale Davidson in the 2 right behind him. That gap was about 0.5 of a second a couple laps ago. It's dropped a little bit since then, back down to about 5/10, 6/10, but Davidson is not letting Alif get away.
That's what I'd love to hear the comms right now between these two teammates, as they are leading the pack, but they're also both indeed fighting for points for that bragging right. So that's what, with these two guys fighting, it's got to be very interesting if they're either in like a Discord call or something, as they are indeed fighting.
Yeah, for sure, and I wonder how much fuel they are saving. Obviously, you mentioned a call from the stewards letting our drivers know that the fuel tank or the fuel for tonight's race was potentially not calculated properly, and there might be the need for a little splash and dash as Ricky Paz is on the inside of Austin DeLong here, trying to defend into the stadium section, and DeLong gets that inside line and is able to make the pass, using that camber and that banking in the corner to really get ahead of Valparaiso's Ricky Paz. And Ricky Paz, I think, is about to feel the pressure from behind as well, as now Nicholas Patinella from Robert Morris University is eyeing up a move on that pink Valparaiso car, as we have finished 5 laps here, 11 laps to go in this race, not including this lap we're on now. As a little bit wide there from Robert Morris University. That might be an off track. You might have to give that position back, but for now they're going to go side by side into turn 2, and Valparaiso is going to have to give that one up to Robert Morris.
Well, I'm very curious to know what those tire conditions are in that car, the 19 car, because he has been going off track. It does look like he might be slowing down, so there might be some issues in that vehicle, because you don't just slow down on this track.
Yeah,
it looks odd.
It sounded like, I don't know if the camera captured it, but I did hear the sound of tires squealing there in turn 2, so it's possible that maybe he just got a little too excited on the gas pedal, maybe spun a little bit and cost him a couple spots, but he's still in the fight. He's still right on the back of this pack he was in the front of before, so he's going to see if he can use this draft, maybe save a little bit of fuel and potentially make a charge back at, firstly, Nicholas Stockner from Clemson University for that 12th spot.
And again, with the fuel stuff, so it was race control to tell me that's about 14 of the 15 laps. So I'll be very curious to see if these drivers are aware of this situation, and do they try to target maybe doing an earlier pit stop if necessary, and risk the fact that the rest of the field is going to be able to fuel save. And that's where I love, especially something like NASCAR, where it's a long endurance race. I love feeling the fuel strategy that, it'll be very interesting to see. That could change up the entire race.
Yeah, for sure, and I think, I'm sure these drivers are saving a little bit of fuel. Sometimes the fuel calculations aren't quite right, and maybe you can make it 14 laps and then have to pit on lap 15, which would be, if it was a 16-lap race, then you'd have to worry about it. But if it's a 15-lap race, then there's no need, because you can come across the line and milliliters of fuel left and still be okay. There's obviously not a mandate for a minimum amount of fuel. We don't need to take samples or anything like they would in a real Formula 4 race, as Ryan Dunham now is fighting back on the rear end of Tristan Leclerc right now for the 14th spot. That's Embry Riddle and St. Clair going at it right now, going down into turn 2.
And Dunham's going to have that draft, so I would not be surprised if he's able to keep up. It's just about how is Tristan Leclerc going to, defend it going into these turns. This is a very, very fast winding track that it is okay to block, but you have to make sure you pick your line. And getting out of corners is everything.
Yeah, obviously getting down into turn 6 here, you want to be on that inside line, so if you're going to block, you're going to want to block to the inside and make that one move you're allowed to make in road racing to defend your position. But a little bit wide there from Tristan Leclerc for St. Clair. That's going to give Dunham the opportunity, but he gets a little bit squirrely coming out of the corner, and he won't be able to capitalize. The 505 from Embry Riddle right now is a St. Clair sandwich. Tristan Leclerc in front, and it's Adrian Tubakovic behind right now, so he's got to be careful to make sure that he's able to defend, but not be too aggressive that he gives up a little bit of time that allows the car behind to attack.
And again, like I said earlier with the ball stay combination, I'd be very curious to know if that St. Clair, if they're in a Discord call right now telling each other, hey, slow him down so I can catch up, or is it just going to be just drive your car, as looks like they may have gone for a little bit of a dive, but still, it's always very interesting when it's a team-oriented battle like this. Is it going to be, do you drive for yourself or do you drive for your team?
Yeah, for sure. We see Jason Wallet from Drexel University. He's in the 11th spot right now. Oh, a little bit off the track there for Robert Morris's Nicholas Patinella in the 10th spot. That is the last points-paying position, and it is the reverse grid pole position. The top 10 will be inverted after race 1, and whoever finishes race 1 in 10th will start race 2 in first. So a big benefit if you're able to finish in that 10th spot. Obviously finishing further up the field grants more points, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as Nicholas Patinella is trying to make a move here potentially on Austin DeLong. He's going to go for it down into turn 6 right now on the inside. That's Robert Morris. He's able to get a good entry. Can he get a good exit to hold off the Penn College of Technology car? And he does. That's Nicholas Patinella up one more spot into the 9th spot. Austin DeLong now is going to have to maybe see if he can fight back and get that 9th position back from Robert Morris.
Yeah, things are kind of getting into battles. It's crazy looking ahead a little bit to the front. Oh, there's a stop car. Who was that, I wonder?
I couldn't quite tell. Oh, it's Austin DeLong!
That's
Austin DeLong is spun there off the curbing on the exit of, I believe that is turn 12. Turn 11, off the corner of turn 11. No, it's Drew Williams, I think, further back. No, that might be Nick Stockner, the Clemson car who was spinning on the exit of turn 12. I think we're seeing a lot of cars maybe get sucked into incidents. We see one car spin, and then all of a sudden, cars behind are spinning, maybe getting a little too focused on a spinning car and doing it themselves right now. But further back, looks like Ryan Dunham was able to get past Tristan Leclerc. We see the St. Clair College cars going 15th, 16th, and 17th right now. But Athena Leclerc has gone through the pits. I'm not sure if that was a penalty or if that was a strategic fuel stop early on in this race. I'm not quite sure, but another off track there from Robert Morris's Nicholas Patinella, as we saw on the broadcast.
Yeah, he's got. I bet you Patinella's probably getting a little warning on his dashboard, being like, "Hey, you can't keep doing this. You're going to get time penalties." Because these guys have been taking advantage of it, and I wonder how much more leniency is race control going to have with them. That is not track limits, and you don't want to mess with track limits, especially on a track like this. It's everything.
Yeah, for sure. And right now we have a battle heating up. We've seen these two drivers go at it all race. It's between Alex Hallinar from Binghamton and Drew Williams from Clemson University. This is for the 6th position. I think Drew Williams, he was sitting in 5th earlier. He dropped a spot to Esteban Munoz from Florida International, who's now sitting in the 5th spot.
Yeah, this should be a very good battle. These guys are known, like I was stating earlier, they both do run Cup car, but they both are also very, very talented drivers on the street. And you can see that right now that they're sticking to each other and they're giving each other the level of respect that they deserve, and it's gonna result in good battling and good racing. And that's what we want in this league, is people being respectful of each other, but also battling with each other and having good races.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Keith. I think there's a little bit of some rivalries in the CIL. Obviously, some drivers maybe have a little bit of a history with each other, either as friends or as enemies, and so that really affects the way that some of these drivers approach racing each other. You know, if you know that a guy wrecked you trying to make a pass in the last race, you're either going to have to be really careful, or you either have to not let him even get the chance to make an overtake. As we see a move further back in the pack, Tubakovic and Dunham are going side by side. I think we see a little bit of a wiggle there from the St. Clair car in green. That's Adrian Tubakovic. He's going to have the inside line going down into turn 1. This is not a spot you see overtakes very often. It's going to be interesting to see. Oh, he doesn't quite take as much track as he could, Tubakovic. And I'll give Tristan Leclerc the opportunity to fight against his St. Clair teammate there.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did not have the optimal line. You can see the importance of the optimal line on this track, and any track, really. If you aren't on that line... Oh, he almost lost it! What a save! For Tubakovic, yeah. And I think, unfortunately, he's going to lose that spot to Tristan Leclerc, and it does look like that... I believe that's a lapped car. I believe that's Ekin Lamar is maybe going to be able to make up on that mistake.
Yeah, Ekin Lamar not really fighting for position right now. May be involved in an incident earlier on in this race as the battle at the front. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Tubakovic and Lamar. And it looks like Tristan Leclerc has also missed the corner as well. So chaos in turn 6 on that lap. Ekin Lamar meeting his friend Barry R on the edge of the track there. We're going to have to get a replay of that.
Yeah, we definitely... That's it. And I very much wonder, was that netcode or was that just unfortunate, that Ekin may have braked a little bit. It looked like he was ahead, but who knows? I hope it was netcode for the sake of both drivers. As this battle is heating up between, who is that? That is Tristan Leclerc and Tubakovic. Oh.
Yeah, we had Esteban Munoz. He was sitting in the 5th position a couple laps ago. He just spun, and he just lost a ton of spots on track. That's going to cost him dearly. Was sitting 5th, now down in 7th. So he overtook the Clemson and Binghamton cars in 5th and 6th earlier. He's going to have to do it again now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We're getting to that stage where these tires, if you've been driving them a little too hard, are going to start falling off a little bit. And you got to be, and the car's probably also a lot lighter. If it is true that the fuel is getting low, these guys have to factor in the fact these cars are going to be lighter, and you're going to be able to take these turns a little bit faster, and it might cause mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. As we see the battle now at the front, it's heated up again between the two Ball State teammates, the two Cardinals of our Muhammad Alif, as well as Cale Davidson. Both these cars well clear of 3rd place driver Lucas Moody. As we see a lap car, I think that was Timothy Wilms from Drexel University, the 86. He very respectfully moved out of the way right now as these leaders are now within a couple tenths of each other. And the fight's going to heat up here as we only have 5 laps to go once we get back to the line. So it will be interesting to see how Davidson and Alif approach these last couple of laps. Do they have the fuel to make it to the end? Are they going to have to both pit? We'll have to see. But I would think with them being so far ahead that they got to be saving a little bit of fuel at this point, right? Because a pit stop would be absolutely devastating to their finishing position.
Indeed it would, and that's why I'd be curious to see, do they maybe swap positions and let Cale lead a little bit to maybe help Alif, save some of that fuel, as you were stating. It's going to be interesting. I mean, they're also teammates, so team orders could get in play to help each driver, and that's the beauty of having 2 super talented drivers together on a team. And a track like this, fuel may not be an issue.
Yeah, and speaking of teammates, further back in the pack, we've got some St. Clair action between Athena Leclerc and Adrian Tubakovic. Leclerc going around the outside of turn 13, a great move from the 61 car. She's moved herself up into 15th. She did take an early pit stop. Not sure if that was maybe iRacing or stewardess penalty as Tubakovic. She kind of misses the corner there, goes way off the track. And Leclerc could be good on fuel to the end, depending on how what she took her pit stop for earlier. But the fight now for the top 5 is between Alex Hallinar and Drew Williams. Oh my gosh, they're bump drafting through the corner at that point. I think Drew Williams and Clemson is telling Binghamton right now, come on, hit that gas pedal. You're a little slow. We'll pick it up.
Well, I'd be very curious to know if Drew may have gotten some damage here, because these Formula 4 cars are very fragile, and with iRacing's physics, anything is possible. But it does look like he is still fighting Alex Hallinar, as this battle has been going on all race, and I just hope it ends in these guys being respectable, like we were stating earlier. But as we tick down on the laps, they're going to get more and more desperate to get those spots and those much-needed points for the championship.
And Drew Williams doing a little bit of rallying there in the gravel there on the exit of turn 12, the entrance of the stadium section. He's dropped a couple of tenths. The gap was pretty much 0 when they were nose to tail, but now the gap is up to about 1.4 seconds, and Drew Williams is coming to pit road, I believe. I'm not sure if that's a penalty for incident points or if that's a strategic fuel stop. We'll have to see how long this pit stop takes. We'll ride on board. We're going to see if this is a splash or dash. the closest battle on track right now is between R. Muhammad Leaf and Cale Davidson, but that gap is pretty stable at the moment, as I believe they are heading through the middle sector right now. But Drew Williams, I believe, had too many incident points. He came straight through the pits, as he's going to exit right on this battle between these lower point-paying drivers at the moment.
I believe that is Austin DeLong, and I didn't quite catch the number of who is behind him. This will be interesting because we are getting to that point where the lunge for points is going to happen, and this is where the big incidents happen because you just want to fight. We're in the 7th race of 13, so we're getting to that point where championship points are going to become even more crucial and are going to be harder and harder to get. So you're going to take that lunge you may not have taken week 1 or week 2.
Yeah, for sure, and I think Drew Williams, is focused on just getting up a couple spots now, as he's eyeing up a move here on Drexel's Jason Wallet, the 76 car, trying to defend down through turn 7. He's going to get into this hard braking zone of turn 8. We'll see if Drew Williams makes a move here. He decides not to. A little bit of a wiggle there from the Drexel Esports driver, but is able to keep the car under him and is able to get through this sector pretty well here, able to defend from Drew Williams, but I think Williams is going to have a run potentially down to turn 12 and not quite, just not enough asphalt there to make a move. His Wallet a little bit wide there and a little bit of a wiggle from Williams as well.
I still really want to know, does Drew possibly have some damage on board that car? He does seem like he is keeping up at that pace, but even the smallest little damage on that car, you can't quite take that turn at full speed, and how much that could be affecting his driving ability this evening.
Yeah, it's a great point, as we have started lap 13 here. We have 2 laps to go after the completion of lap 13, so Drew Williams is running out of time if he wants to get up into the points-paying positions, as well as potentially be involved in this top 10 invert. He's going to look to the inside of Jason Wallet now to turn 2. He's going to be later on the brakes. Will it be the 23? Will it be the 76? And it looks like the 23 will easily take that position. A great move from the Clemson driver, as looks like Jason Wallet's going to fight this one back as well. But Drew Williams, he's on the outside for this long sweeping right-hander of turn 5. We'll have the inside line for the hairpin of turn 6.
And it does look like, unfortunately, Austin DeLong did get involved in that, so it did give Drew Williams the opportunity. But you're saying Jason Wallet is really battling back, and this is how it should be. You should be constantly on top of each other, putting pressure and just capitalizing on mistakes.
Yeah, it puts Drew Williams, he's able to clear Wallet into turn 6, and through turn 7, he'll defend that position. So Drew Williams will hold on to that 10th spot for now. That will be the reverse grid pole for the second race tonight, so we'll keep an eye on that battle. But right in front of Drew Williams, it's Austin DeLong, and I think Drew Williams has his sights set on Austin DeLong in that Penn College of Technology car, as it's another spot. He might be starting second for the reverse grid pole, but he'll get more points for the race 1 finishing positions tonight if he can move him up one more spot.
And that's a tricky thing about this situation. Do you go for that extra couple points now and risk, not getting those points the next race, or do you accept the fact you're going to be 10th, not push too hard, and get that pole position for the next race? That's where the thing about CIL is fun, is the strategy kicks in. And as a race car driver myself, I would say I'd be pushing for those extra points, but who knows, as Drew is in fact an alum, and I'm not sure how tight the alum is, so those extra points may not matter in the long term.
Drew is classified in the student standing, so DeLong is fighting Drew for the points here. Alumni and students are classified separately, but around the outside, it's going to be Drew Williams from Clemson. A great move there to get the position on DeLong, and DeLong now, I don't think was expecting that, and he's going to be under pressure from Jason Wallet. Wallet's going to look inside here in turn 5. He's going to really run up against that curb there. Is DeLong going to give him the room, and DeLong just able to have that little bit of extra overspeed from the draft. And looks like Wallet's going to look outside. He's going to throw the dummy and go inside now. Late on the brakes, the 76 from Drexel University. Will he get the move done all up on the curb? And it looks like DeLong is unable to defend. And there's only going to be one more lap when they get back to the stripe here. So DeLong's going to have to make a move soon if he wants to get back to that last points-paying position here in race 1.
And this is what things are going to get desperate as we are getting ready to, it looks like, believe, going to the final lap. And this is where your car is on that limit of you've got 1 lap left of fuel, and you got to be very careful. But you also have to pick your battles. Your tires are starting to fall off, your fuel's starting to fall off, and you're getting a little fatigued after driving for these 15 laps. And it does look like DeLong is still sticking with him, but it does look like Wallet has had a better one. As I get totally just corrected, as he is really sending it in on him.
Yeah, Drew Williams there in front of them had a little bit of a moment exiting turn 12. We see a battle at the front right now between Hallinar and Robert Kiesel Jr. as well, coming across the stripe. One lap to go here as the white flag is out, and Robert Kiesel Jr. is going to have to let Hallinar by. I'm not sure if Kiesel let him by. Maybe fuel is a bit of a factor here. We did hear some discussion about that as we see a fight at the front right now. 0.2 of a second is the gap between the front two.
Yeah, and it does look like these guys are battling, so this will heat things up in that front. And again, who used their tires harder. I wouldn't be surprised if Davison has slightly more fuel just because Leaf's been taking the draft, and those tires have to be crying, and it's going to be a good battle, hopefully. And Leaf has been dominating this championship, but it does not mean that somebody could take that pole spot from him.
Yeah, Robert Kiesel Jr. has dropped another spot as he fights his Florida International teammate Esteban Munoz right now, as Kiesel's able to fight that one back. But at the front of the pack, only a couple corners to go here as Davidson is pressuring Alif into the stadium section right now, as Alif is able to stay just ahead as the Florida International drivers continue to swap spots for the 5th and 6th spot. But at the front of the pack, it's going to be Ball State all over the place right now. It's just Ball State 1, 2, and 3, and leading those 3 across the line, it's going to be R. Muhammad Alif for the first victory of the evening here at the Hockenheimring for the German Grand Prix. He takes victory here in race 1. His teammate just 0.4 of a second behind is Cale Davidson. A great fight between those two for all 15 laps as we go look back at Lucas Moody right now. A pretty lonely race from him. 15 seconds behind the front two and 7 seconds ahead of Hallinar in 4th right now. He will come across the line in 3rd for a podium lockout for Ball State University. A dominating performance from them. Right now, coming across in 5th, it's Esteban Munoz from Florida International. His teammate in 6th is right behind him. Christian Hill only a couple tenths behind Kiesel in 7th. Patinella will come home in 8th. Drew Williams in 9th for Clemson University, and Jason Wallet is able to get that last points-paying position here in the first race. He will be on reverse grid pole for race 2 of the evening, and Austin DeLong will just have to be okay with an 11th place finish and no points for him in the first race, as we still have a couple drivers crossing the line now.
Yeah, Nick Stockner is going to be coming in with 12th, which should make things interesting, as there's been good battles there. Athena Leclerc does finish the race in 13th, Ryan Dunham coming in 14th, and then Ricky Paz 15th, and it does look like Andrew Burrow might be out of fuel, unfortunately, so he's coming across the line very slow. I'd not be surprised if that car is stuttering. Like we said, the issue of fuel is looking like it's factoring in. It does look like Tristan Leclerc did come in 16th, and is he going to be able to make it? Let's see.
Someone's got to give him a little bump draft, help him across the line there.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they were doing that the other Monday night at the Cup. So why can't we do it in these cars as this race is over? But I will tell you that Ball State dominance. If I was in Moody's position, I wouldn't mind a quiet race. Being 3rd place, seeing my teammates take the top 2 rows and joining them, I'd be okay with it with a nice gap like that.
Burl doing everything he can just to roll it across the finish line. Tubakovic is still on track. He has not crossed the line yet. Tubakovic is out of fuel as well. That's why he's slow to get to the line. It's because Tubakovic does not have the petrol to get to the finish line. We see him wiggling the wheel, doing everything he can to move that car forward, and he just cannot. But because Burl and Tubakovic did stay on the lead lap for this race, they are going to finish 17th and 18th anyways, just because Michael Tognati, the car in 19th, finished 1 lap down. We'll see how iRacing scores that, but an unfortunate situation for Burl and Tubakovic. That's going to be something they're going to have to improve upon maybe in the second race tonight.
Well, I'll be very curious to see how this, newfound knowledge for these drivers is going to kick into this next race. As you did see, all but 2 drivers did make it, but I almost wonder how many of those drivers were in, the skin of their seat with the fact that their fuel is probably also running as low as those 2 drivers.
Yeah, that's a good point, and especially if you were further back in the pack, or if you were at the front of the pack in race 1, and now you're going to have to start further back, you're going to have to use up some more gas to make some overtakes. Is that going to play into it? Will that be a concern? But we'll have to see. A couple minutes here between race 1 and race 2 for drivers to get acclimated. Maybe cool down a little bit, warm up a little bit if they were involved in an incident. But we'll see how this goes as we maybe might get a chance to talk to our race 1 winner.
Yeah, that's it. Speaking of our race winner, I'm going to be very curious to see our 2 race winners to see how they manage the the fuel now. They had that race and they kind of ran away with it and didn't really have to think about anything. But now that they're starting 10th, is that fuel going to become a factor that they didn't have to worry about in race 1?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as we're trying to get our race winner in here. We'll see. Our Muhammad Alif might be debriefing with some of his Ball State teammates, so he might be a bit too busy to talk with us, but still a great race here. First race tonight. Obviously, we still have another 15-lap sprint to come, but we're going to run through the results from race 1 here. The official results come out to be, obviously, our Muhammad Ali from Ball State will come home the winner in race 1, that 12 car, doing a great job from Ball State, and 2 Ball State teammates following up right behind him, and Cale Davidson and Lucas Moody to round out your race 1 podium finishers. Alex Halinar will finish in the 4th spot for Binghamton University as he was able to get past the 2 Florida International drivers of Munoz and Kiesel Jr., who are in 5th and 6th. It'll be Christian Hill in 7th for Mount St. Mary's, and Nicholas Patinella will be 8th for Robert Morris. Andrew Williams for Clemson will be 9th in the last points-paying position. And your reverse grid pole for race 2 tonight is Jason Wallet from Drexel University. He finished a little bit behind Drew Williams after Williams was given a drive-through for too many incident points in the first race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that can get to you. So in 11th is Austin DeLong, so he's going to be unfortunately just missing out on that 10th from Penn College Technology. 12th is Nick Stockner from Clemson University. 13 is Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College. 14th is Ryan Dunham from Embry-Riddle. 15th is Ricky Paz in that Valparaiso University car. 16th is Tristan Leclerc from St. Clair College. 17th is Andrew Burrow from Clemson. 18th is Aiden Javakovic from St. Clair College. Those. And then 19th is Michael Tonati from College of St. Metro. And then 20th is Timothy Wills from Drexel University.
Yeah, Aiken Lamar will come home in 21st after he was involved in an incident with Tubakovic, I believe. Earlier on in the race, he'll be 7 laps down. Valparaiso's Ethan Decatur in an incident will be another few laps down in 22nd. Ryan Bannon from Penn College of Technology in 23rd. Louis Diaz, the 3rd FIU car in the field tonight, finished 24th. And Ryan Wilson from Minnesota State Mankato will be 25th, as we only have a couple minutes left in our warm-up session here, as we've been stood up by our race 1 winner. He's decided, more likely he just hasn't seen the request to come join us in the booth. Obviously, much more important that he debriefs with his teammates, figures out what the plan is after the 3 Ball State teammates started 1, 2, 3. Now they're going to start 8, 9, and 10 in the second race.
Yeah, and that's what strategy does come into play now. Not that they didn't have strategy coming in, but they even more have strategies because now they have to make it through 7 other drivers to get that pole position. And this field is very competitive, and that's what, even though Alif had dominated that race with they were about 20-some seconds ahead of the rest of the field, they still have to factor in, hey, we're going to have other drivers that may not be as quick as us that we're going to have to maneuver, and that's definitely going to affect their plans.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see this start, too. We saw a couple drivers get pretty poor starts there, mainly Alex Halinar. I think he started in 5th, I believe, in race 1, and he dropped a couple spots off the start due to a poor start, so it's going to be very interesting to see who gets the good starts. Obviously, we'll have drivers who maybe don't have the pace of maybe an R. Muhammad Ali for Cale Davidson starting at the front. Drew Williams, obviously a fairly quick driver here in the Formula 4 cars in the Formula C Series. Got a drive-through penalty. I'm sure he's going to be looking to bounce back, and starting second is a very good place to be if you think you have the pace and can hold off some of these faster drivers for a few laps.
Well, and that's what I know when I was running, it was always nice coming to the second race that you ever got taken out or something. So I'd be very curious to see some of these drivers that are a lap or lap 2 down that, unfortunately were taken out, how they bounce back from races like this. Because a lot of this is just mental. You got to reset that brain to get ready to go to that next race, and you got to treat this like a whole new day.
And speaking about a whole new day, it's time for a whole new race here at the Hockenheimring, and it's going to be Jason Wallet from Drexel University starting on pole here for the second race, and Andrew Williams from Clemson University right to his outside. 2 alumni round out your second row for the grid, Nicholas Patinella from Robert Morris and Christian Hill from Mount St. Mary's. Behind them in 5th and 6th is 2 Florida International drivers and Robert Kiesel Jr. and Esteban Munoz, with Alex Hallinar in the 7th spot for Binghamton University. Lucas Moody will be 8th for Ball State, and his Ball State teammates who finished ahead of him in race 1 are going to be behind him in race 2 now. It's Cale Davidson in 9th and R. Muhammad Alif in 10th, as our drivers here are on the grid, about ready to go here for race 2. We're going to see how they approach this second race. It'll be very interesting to watch the start. Jason Wallet from Drexel University, maybe not super familiar with this front row, but he's going to be looking forward to maybe getting a chance to make up some positions here in the second race and get some points here soon, Keith.
Yeah, Andy, and that's what a lot of this race is, just getting a good start. As the lights are coming on, let's see how these starts are. Let's see who makes up positions, who doesn't, and we're getting ready to go. 5 lights out, and here we go, baby. Last race, then there's a yellow flag. Oh, they did race control just throw a yellow flag?
I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe we had a starting grid procedural error. That's very interesting to see the lights come on and instantly the yellow flag came out. Obviously, sometimes in real racing you have situations where maybe the starting procedure has not been done correctly or something along those lines, but this does mean that we're going to be getting the official race start done under a safety car, so there will be no standing start here in race 2. That's very interesting to see what happened there. Not quite sure what happened.
Yeah, so I'd be curious to see from race control what happened there, but yeah, this is going to be very interesting because this changes your strategy up a little bit, because now you're going to be able to warm your tires up a little bit more than they were going to be initially, and having warm tires is a huge factor. And I know some people, a standing start, they're not very good. I know I'm not very good at standing starts, and some of these drivers, are used to run a GT3s, GT4s, so having a rolling start like this could benefit some of these drivers, as these are very quirky and are likely to spin.
Yeah, for sure. As we see R. Muhammad Alif right now, he's in the 11th spot somehow, which means he's lost a spot on the start. A couple other drivers who are somehow changed positions on the start: Robert Kiesel Jr., Christian Hill. Not quite sure what happened there. Obviously, still waiting to hear on what happened from race control. But either way, this all drivers have to deal with the same conditions, right? And unfortunately, it looks like some of these drivers are swapped back into where they should be now. Or Muhammad Leaf back in 10th. But all these drivers have to deal with the same conditions in the same situations, right? Obviously, it's probably not ideal for some of these drivers that the caution has come out at the start, and maybe they were looking forward to a standing start. But either way, they all have to be able to adapt. They just get ready to hit the curveball that's been thrown at them.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to listen to this here. Race control says he did say it's gonna run green here after this, but we're still waiting to hear from race control. It does look like they knew this was coming, as I'm checking at iRacing chat right now. So it was something that was talked about before the race that we just weren't, unfortunately, not informed about.
Yeah, and this could be maybe something to do with the fuel situation. Obviously, with a sprint race, you typically don't want to have to pit to get fuel, and with the sprint race, 15 laps, obviously strategy is important with tire saving and fuel saving, but maybe just race control decided that whatever happened last race with fuel and whatnot, is they didn't want to repeat of that. They didn't want to have Tubakovic and Burl rolling their way to the start-finish line after running out of fuel again. So either way, it's been discussed. The safety car will go around one more lap. The lights are still on, so that means the pace car is going to cross the stripe again. But Jason Wallet, I'm sure he loves leading a couple laps out in front of the field now.
Yeah, so he's definitely got to get a little bit of confidence just knowing that he's ahead. And again, these tires are going to be warm, so you're gonna be able to step right on him. You still got to be a little bit careful, in those lower gears. But once you get up to 3rd or 4th, you can fly. And with these tires being warm, and even the fact that fuel is not an issue anymore, supposedly, he's got to be in such a great mindset. Even Drew Williams right behind him's got to be in a great mindset.
Yeah, and I'm sure the couple drivers who did not want to see this caution period occur would be the Ball State University drivers. Obviously, now they're going to have a few less laps. The lights are still on, the pace car, they're still on. So that means that the pace car will go around for another full lap after this lap. So we won't get back to a green flag racing until, I believe, lap 4. So that's 3-4 laps less that those fast guys who are now 8th, 9th, and 10th from the reverse grid are going to have to move forward and make up positions in the second race.
And that's going to make that strategy that, like you're saying, that the strategy that you had initially, it's going to throw it right out the window. You're going to have to think, especially a lot of these guys don't have, team principals or their own, coaches. They're going to have to think about, hey, what am I doing differently now? Everything's been thrown out the window. And that's where being in this league, you sometimes have to be flexible. And you were saying the Ball State guys, they're going to have to be flexible now and accept the fact that they're going to have, a couple less laps to push to the front. Yeah, I think we're still waiting to hear. That's what, again, I'm in the same boat as you, as Matt. As what is the safety car? Is it they're trying to, save that fuel? But things are going to be interesting.
Yeah, a couple of the drivers who are leading a couple laps here now, or not leading a couple laps, but maybe further towards the front of the field than they'd be expecting to be during lap 2. Christian Hill from Mount St. Mary's, he's finished in 7th for race 1. He's in 4th right now. He's just on the outsides of a podium finish. Nicholas Patnell, he's in 3rd, leading alumni at the moment, obviously standing on the overall podium at the moment due to the safety car.
Yeah, I mean, points are going to be a big thing. It's always a big discussion about the points, and if these can stick together, this will definitely shake things up. And like the safety car is something that's going to shake everything up, and it's just very interesting to see what all these drivers are doing. Looks like some of these drivers are just kind of driving out the safety car, while others are trying to warm their tires up. So I'm going to be very curious to see those ones that are warming their tires up. Are they going to have better starts when this safety car does evidently come in?
Yeah, Keith, and it sounds like I'm getting reports from the stewards right now that this safety car period is due to the fuel situation. The fuel, obviously, in these cars, not enough to get to the end of the race unless you do some pretty dramatic lift and coast. And I think most of our drivers were able to lift and coast in the first race pretty well and get to the end. I think the stewards have decided that these drivers should not be lifting and coasting in a 15-lap sprint race. So the safety car is here to allow these drivers to get a couple laps while burning minimal fuel and get to the end of the race with no problem on fuel. And
it does look like, seeing race control communicating with us, it does look like this was something that was called by them, but it does sound like the drivers all kind of mutually agreed on that this is, the best opportunity. And we did just get confirmation that once this next lap is green, which is awesome for us up here in the booth, because I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm ready to get back to some good racing.
Absolutely, and it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers handle the single file restart. Obviously, we've had a few single file restarts this year, but most of them have been due to crashes and track blockages and whatnot. So with the whole field in a single file restart, it'll be fun to watch, and I think it's going to provide some good action as these drivers are going to have nice warm rubber, and they're going to really be able to attack down into turn 1.
And so I'm going to be very curious to see, the single file starts. Single file is always interesting in lobby, so I'm going to be very curious to see how some of these far back guys, are going to be watching their brakes, and how many people are going to try to send it into turn 1, as they do have a little bit less fuel than what they would have planned to have and warm tires.
Yeah, for sure. There'll be a couple less laps, obviously, in this race. This race is a 15-lap race. It is not time limited in any way, unless we have probably another caution, and then that might be something that these drivers have to worry about. 30 minutes is the maximum time, but 15 laps normally can be completed within that 30-minute time slot. So
yeah, I believe the last race was about 25 minutes when that was nonstop action. So this unless there is in fact another safety car, like Matt was saying, I agree. I think we're going to see some good green flag racing for 11 laps.
Yeah, and take note that pace car, those lights on the top of the pace car are out, and that means we're going to go green flag racing at the end of this lap. We're going to see how Jason Wallet handles a single file restart as the leader. Not quite sure if he's ever experienced this before in the CIL. It's going to make for some good storytelling later on, I'm sure, as you see all the weaving further back in the pack. Kiesel Jr., I believe behind Kiesel, that's Esteban Munoz, Alex Hallner in that green car from Binghamton. They're all weaving back and forth, trying to get some heat into these Pirelli rubbers as Jason Wallet lets Drew Williams by, or maybe Drew Williams goes by on his own. I'm not quite sure, but either way, they slot right back into where they're supposed to be.
That's it. Looks like Drew is very much wanting to get racing. So that's it. I'm going to be curious to see how aggressive is Drew going to be on this restart, as he is edging for that, pole position right now, and things will get very interesting once that safety car pulls into the pit, which is very shortly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Drew Williams obviously, or he likes to think that he's got a bit more pace in that car than the Drexel University driver of Jason Wallet. So obviously Drew Williams was running ahead of Wallet most of the first race until a drive-through penalty was assessed to the 23 car. So it'll be interesting to see how Williams is able to get past Wallet as cars are weaving back and forth. And we see pretty much all the way back. We see who's that? Christian Hill, Kiesel Jr., Munoz, Hallinar, Moody, Davidson, and then there's R. Muhammad Leaf back there just going straight as an arrow. Reminds me of Kimi Räikkönen back in Formula One. Cool as a cucumber back there, but Jason Walt's about to lead this field to green.
And I do want to quickly point out that all of these drivers are in fact using the same setup, so it's not like you're talking about that pace. That pace is just on pure knowledge of the track and pure understanding of the car. So some drivers might be quicker just naturally because they understand the car, versus some of the drivers may not be. As we are getting ready to go around the last corner, and it should be interesting. This restart is a lot of these drivers may not be used to starting, especially Jason Wallet, starting in the front of a single file.
Yeah, as Jason Wallet now is able to lead the field to green, the pace car is off, and that 76 is holding the field up, taking his time. He doesn't have to go till the green flag drops, and I believe the green is dropped now, and we are back to racing here at the Hockenheimring. Jason Wallet leads the field to green as they spread out behind them. They're 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, maybe further back in the pack as Jason Wallet leads the field. Drew Williams still holding steady in the second. We see lots of action further back as we see, I think that is Christian Hill defending from Robert Kiesel Jr., and at turn 2, it's still Jason Wallet. And Jason Wallet goes a little bit deep, and Drew Williams is going to use this opportunity to make a move around the outside, but I think he gets a little bit loose as well, and it's going to be Nicholas Patinella right now, right underneath the rear wing of Jason Wallet. Will he pull out to make a move? It looks like he will. Down into turn 6, who's going to be late on the brakes? It's going to be tough to see. Oh, they might go 3 wide here. Drew Williams puts them 3 wide. It's going to be some insane action down into turn 6. Who's going to get the move done? A little bit of squirreliness back there. Oh, we see contact! Major contact! Multiple drivers involved. We see the rear wing of one car go sliding through the track right now. I believe that's Esteban Munoz who's in it right now from Florida International. And there's another yellow flag. The caution has come out again for contact this time. Down to the turn 6 hairpin.
Man,
we're going to have to get a replay of that.
Yeah, that chaos just ensued. I mean, and it looks like Drew was able to proceed out of that. He was ballsy and sent it in. He was the latest on the brakes, and he capitalized on it. It does look like, unfortunately, Jason Wallet is now currently in 3rd place. Unfortunately, he lost out on that. And I'm going to be very curious to see what happened in the backpacks. It does look like a good bit of that field is unfortunately damaged or fall back.
And speaking of drivers involved, Cale Davidson from Ball State University, he finished 2nd in the first race. I believe he was involved. His teammates, though, did get through. R. Muhammad Leaf only up 1 spot into 9th right now. Lucas Moody currently in 6th. But the yellow lights are on all around the track. There's Barney waving his yellow flag right now. We are under caution for the 2nd time tonight. Let's get a replay.
Yeah, indeed. Let's go see that replay. Let's see. Did he just send it? Unfortunately, let's see. Oh, here we go.
There's Esteban Munoz in the pink car right there from Florida International, coming down into turn 6. We see a little bit of action. I think it might be Alex Hallinar. He's getting really deep on the brakes there, and it looks like a little too deep on the brakes and just gets hit in the rear end, or just hits the Florida International driver in the rear end, and then chaos ensues. Esteban Munoz is just stopped in the middle of the track, and there's nowhere for these drivers to go. I believe the car that just hit him there, that's Lucas Moody, minimal damage to him, but then the Valparaiso car of Ricky Paz involved. Oh, and then Munoz backs up, and he takes out Cale Davidson. You gotta just keep the car still when you're letting the whole field by like that. I think that's Athena Leclerc also, a little bit of contact, and then he almost takes out his FIU teammate there as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That car, I think, unfortunately, that might be the end of his night, unfortunately, as he is completely missing that back wing. And unfortunately, I wonder what happened on board there with Alex Hallinar, because it just looked like he may have missed his braking point, and unfortunately, it caused chaos. But Drew Williams is absolutely loving that fact.
Yeah, we're going to ride on board here with Alex Hallinar. Yeah, late on the brakes, and I think there's just so many cars in front of him. Obviously, they're going 3 wide, and then just too deep on the brakes, and is involved in an incident with Munoz, and I think he Not sure what's happening here. Some iRacing funkiness potentially. Maybe there is some weird netcode issue. Halinar, I'm not quite sure. But obviously, Halinar, the one to start that incident.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just don't think they were able to. iRacing was able to keep up. And that's what I almost wonder, like you were saying, may have that been just unfortunate netcode for Halinar? Because I think it did look like he was braking about the time I would have expected him to brake. And unfortunately, after all, this is in fact a simulator and not real life. So sometimes, unfortunately, the servers are like, "Hey, you're not here, you're there," and incidents like that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes things like that does happen, and you can't really control it. One of our front runners, obviously, in race 1, Cale Davidson, the big name caught up in that accident. Esteban Munoz, also in the pits right now. He was the unfortunate victim of a little rear-ending action there at turn 6. And we mentioned it at the start of the broadcast, how chaotic turn 6 can be. That tight hairpin, probably, one of the tightest corners around the world, really, because you don't see very many tracks have hairpins that tight. You have Monaco that comes to mind as a hairpin that's just as tight as that, but the speeds entering that corner are so much lower than they are here at turn 6 at the Hockenheimring. I'm not sure of any other tracks that have hairpins just as that extreme, but the lights are out on the pace car, and we're going to go back to racing here after this lap, Keith.
Yeah, and I can tell you that top 3, I mean, you may not be in the best mindset if you're Jason Wallet, but you're probably still somewhat happy. You're still on that podium, but I can tell you right now, Drew Williams is loving the fact to under safety car right now because he is currently leading that pack, and like you were talking earlier, he was maybe fighting for being on pole, and now he is in this race, and it's going to be interesting to see. Is he going to be able to keep that pace up, as he does have, a couple of faster drivers sitting on top of him right now?
Yeah, and what will be interesting now potentially is the threat of hitting the 30-minute time limit for this race before we hit lap 15. We are 16 minutes into this race, and we've completed pretty much half the race under caution. We're about halfway through the race, give or take, on lap 6 now. So depending on what happens here on this next green flag stint, once the pace car pulls off, we might get another caution if there's more turn 6 chaos.
Well, it does look like the server might be having a little bit of issues, as Drew Williams is literally becoming the pace car. So I wonder if the server is maybe struggling a little bit right now. But yeah, turn 6, I think, like we were talking at the beginning of the show, is going to be that chaos corner. But I hope that all the drivers have learned from that mistake and are not going to make as many mistakes, as this field is bunching up and getting ready to restart.
Yeah, and taking a look at Lucas Moody here, the 13 car from Ball State, we see a little bit of damage on that. On our side, it's the right-hand end plate from his driver cockpit view with the left-hand end plate. So how much will that damage affect the Ball State driver in the coming laps? As Lucas Moody definitely thinks it'll be interesting to see how he performs, especially now that he's in front of both of his Ball State teammates, and he has a couple cars between him and a Leaf.
Yeah, and that's it. And again, going to those Ball State drivers, I wonder how does this throw into their plan to get to that pole, as one of the drivers might be unfortunately out of the race with damage, because I know those guys are striding to win this championship, and they've got a nice handful of points ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, for sure, but we're about to enter the last sector of this track. It's the stadium section, very iconic around here at Hockenheimring. Back, this section was even around back when they used the old Hockenheimring when it went through the forest, and was a very, very high-speed track. Not quite as fast now, but still a pretty high-speed track. A lot of medium-speed corners, a lot of long straightaways, but Drew Williams here getting ready to lead the field to green for the second time tonight.
Yeah, it's it. I'll be curious to see how he handles. Does he do this relatively same thing as Jason Wallet, or is he going to learn from that mistake and just get the field rolling? It's going to be a very, very close thing, and I guarantee you Jason Wallet is going to want to get that pole position back, as he had a rough start. And that mistake was forgiven, and he has an opportunity to charge for it.
For sure, and now we're riding on board with the second place driver, Nicholas Patinella. We'll see exactly when that Orange Wheel Racing Clemson University driver is on the gas, and he's on it now, and we're green again here from the Hockenheimring. Drew Williams is in the lead at the moment, and right behind him it's Nicholas Patinella looking to take that first position away right now, maybe even in turn 1. Not quite there, as looks like he's a little bit off the track as they go steaming down towards turn 2. It's all single filed out right now, not too crazy. It looks like there's a move further back in the pack. It looks like that's going to be a Leaf making the move on Ryan Dunham at the moment. Dunham up big in this race right now, up 5 spots. probably a big benefactor of that crazy contact in turn 6. And at the Leaf, he's looking to be making a move down towards turn 6 on Ricky Paz for the 7th spot.
Yeah, let's see if the drivers have learned from the mistakes as we're getting ready to go into that famous hairpin, as it does look like that 42 car is trying to make a move on Jason Wallet, and it looks like he is successful, but Wallet is not giving him, and unfortunately Wallet went off the challenge, and it even looks like that 42 is going for 2nd place.
Yeah, it looks like Nicholas Patinella from Robert Morris also went very wide on the exit of turn 6. Oh, deep into the corner. Was it Robert Morris? Excuse me, it was Florida International's Robert Kiesel Jr. Making the move for 2nd. Kiesel Jr. is on a mission right now. He is taking names, and it looks like Athena Leclerc is also dropping down the order. Can Robert Morris Kiesel Jr., Robert Kiesel Jr. for Florida International make the move here? Going down into turn 12. It looks like Drew Williams fighting this one back around the outside. He's going to have the inside line, though, for the next couple of corners, but there's a little bit of camber and banking to that corner. They just went through to see if they could give the fighting. Oh, contact between the 2 drivers. It's Drew Williams and Robert Kiesel Jr. involved in an accident, and Kiesel Jr. is able to hold on to the lead, and Drew Williams is dropping like a stone. But here comes Ball State. Lucas Moody and Muhammad Leaf are both looking to get a Ball State 1-2 right now as they're sniffing the lead as Robert Kiesel Jr. defends into turn 1.
Yeah, that's where the battling gets tricky, and that's where you got to be careful, especially if that was off track. I'll be very curious to see what race control says involved then. But those Ball State drivers, I don't think those safety cars even pondered them, as these guys are already up into 2nd and 1st, and it does look like Moody is indeed challenging for that lead, as the Leaf is right on top of him as well.
Yeah, we see from the rear gearbox of Kiesel Jr. and Florida International that Ball State machine from Lucas Moody. He's about 1/10 back. Will Lucas Moody look to defend or attack? He'll be defending down into turn 6 here. Can Lucas Moody use a little bit of a cutback move? No. Ball State driver unable to move up into the lead right now. Florida International's Louis Diaz is in 8th right now, the teammate of Robert Kiesel Jr.
That's it. I'll be very curious. He does look like Moody has a little bit of damage on that front wing, so I'll be very curious to see if this battle becomes about aero. It's going to be in favor of Kiesel Jr., as looks like his car is in great condition.
Yeah, and then you have to worry or wonder about Lucas Moody. How is the teammate battle going to work here between Moody and Elif? Obviously, Elif a little bit faster in race 1, finished about a handful of seconds up the road from Lucas Moody. Moody was quiet most of that first race as well. Nobody fighting him, nobody to attack as well. So he's kind of getting back into the swing of things for Ball State University, getting back into the rhythm, getting back to what it feels like to be around other cars and be in the dirty air, as he goes a little bit wide there in the penultimate corner.
Yeah, and it does look like this front pack is starting to separate a little bit, but again, you were saying that team battle, are they going to give team orders? Leaf has a car that isn't broken versus Moody, but it does look like Moody is still challenging even with that broken wing, and this battle is going to heat up, and there's that gap building. It does look like there's a little bit of battling behind in that pack behind, though.
Yeah, I think that's Ryan Dunham is making a move down the inside of Jason Wallet. That's going to be Embry Riddle and Drexel University going at it side by side. Dunham is trying to make the move for the top 5 right now, and Jason Wallet is holding the inside line around turn 5. That's Nicholas Stockner, that orange car, moving around wildly behind him. Going down into turn 6, though, it's Muhammad Leaf making the move on his Ball State teammate, Lucas Moody, and Lucas Moody's going to give that one up.
It almost looked like he planned that, and I honestly think that might be the smart idea. With the damage that Moody's got, it's still impressive to have a 2-3 in a field like this, but they're battling. Looks like, is that Drew Williams are seeing this
Nicholas
back?
Stockner.
Oh, it's Nicholas Stockner. So Stockner is really fighting up front here. That's all. It's Drew Williams' teammate, as he was able to make up some positions. But it just looks like Jason.
Oh, it was Embry Riddle. That's Ryan Dunham spinning in I believe that's turn 8, and Stockner is going to scamper away from the scene of the crime. He was not involved in that in any way, but he'll be glad to see the guy who was pressuring him behind has spun off the track.
I'm curious what happened to Jason Wallace. He's fallen back to 7th, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this race has been a good one for him this evening.
No, and as we speak, it looks like Muhammad Leaf is slowly chasing down Robert Kiesel Jr. That's Ball State hunting down Panther Esport driver from Florida International University.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time, I think, unfortunately, because it does look like Leaf is running a little bit faster times according to my chart, so it's just a matter of time, unfortunately, but these Ball State drivers are something different this year, and They've been dominated. So it looks like he's going to take him on that turn, but he is not giving it back to him very easily. I think this battle is going to commence for a while, as these two guys are very talented drivers.
Yeah, Robert Kiesel there, he took the very defensive line to the inside of turn 2, and he had to force Leaf to go around the outside, but he can only do that for so long, because now he goes way to the inside of the track. He's not giving Leaf the chance to look to the inside down into turn 6, and it's so difficult. A big lock up there from Kiesel Jr., and he almost spun. An incredible save from the Florida International driver, but our Muhammad Alif will take the opportunity to move himself up into second around the outside of the Florida International driver in turn 6.
Yeah, it's going to get interesting, as it does look like this is going to be very close on time, but these guys are still going to be battling, as anything could happen, as we still have 5 good laps to go, and I would not be surprised. It looks like Moody is catching up, so I wonder if Kessel's wheels may have just been a little flat spotted and may not quite have that pace.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case. That was almost disastrous for Robert Kiesel Jr. My timing tower is saying he crashed, but he did a great job to save the spin and keep himself up on the podium positions. Louis Diaz trying to fight for that 4th position on Ricky Paz, and we saw Nick Stockner earlier. He was able to scurry through some of the chaos. He's currently in the 6th spot. A great run for that Clemson University alumni, currently leading the alumni. But we'll see if he can hold off the charging cars of Wallet, Kubakovic, and Burl.
Yeah, and those guys behind do have that draft benefit. Well, he's just on his Stockner, just on his own. As this battle right now is commencing, who is that? That is
it's Louis Diaz making the move on Ricky Paz. That's FIU on Valparaiso action right there, and Ricky Paz is going to use this backstretch to fight this one back and get back into the 4th spot. We'll see if he can make it work. He's right underneath that rear wing. Will Louis Diaz go defensive, or is he going to just try to hold his line and try to outbrake the Valparaiso driver?
And this will be very interesting, as we are going into that infamous turn 6. So is that going to be, I think, is that 19 going to take advantage of it, or it's just going to stay behind and hope he gets a better exit?
Yeah, Nicholas Stockner defensive there from Jason Wallet. Was able to hold off the charging Drexel Sport driver. Lucas Moody also within a couple tenths of Robert Kiesel Jr. at the moment. These two have been fighting for the past 2 laps or so. It's going to be a big defensive move there from Nicholas Stockner and Clemson University. Probably just about the borderline of what I'd call acceptable. You can make one defensive move going into a corner, and Jason Wallet, I think, maybe wasn't expecting the defensive move there. Maybe a warning for blocking potentially, but obviously all cars went into the corner and came out of the corner with no damage, so I'll be very surprised if we see any penalties from that action.
Yeah, and it does look like there's a battle right behind Trubernick, and is that
That's Burl, Andrew Burl from Clemson University.
So this battle is going to commence, especially these corners. These corners are all about who can accelerate out of it quicker, and looks like the 38 car was successful out of that. But it looks like this battle is still commencing up front with Stockner and Wallet, as they are just fighting, and it's going to be good. And there's Jason Wallet making a mistake, and unfortunately that might be the end of his chance for points tonight.
Yeah, Jason Wallet just in the dirty air there, a little bit too much speed into turn 1. Gets it turned around, but I don't think he's going to be able to get back up into the points anytime soon. And look at the top 2 alumni drivers right now, Nicholas Stockner and Andrew Burl. Neither of them in the points in race 1, and now they're 6th and 7th, so a great race from these 2 Clemson University drivers. I'm sure they'll be very happy with how it's going right now. They just got to keep it on the track at the moment. But Louis Diaz right now has chased down this front pack here, about 4 tenths behind Lucas Moody right now, trying to secure that last podium spot for Florida International. We saw Ball State dominate race 1, and it's Ball State and Florida International dominating race 2 here.
The thing I'm going to be really curious to see is I'm watching that time tick down up there. I'm going to be very curious to see how many of these drivers are aware of the fact that this race is probably not going to go off 15, and how many of these drivers are maybe going to go a little bit more aggressive, as this is race number 2 of the night. How many of these drivers are going to leave it out there on that track, as any points are going to be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. We see Louis Diaz really hustling the back of Lucas Moody right now. Lucas Moody is carrying a little bit of damage. That is something important to note. That left side, or right hand from the camera, driver left front end plate, a little bit bent. That could be giving him a little bit of drag, a little bit of a loss of downforce, and Lucas Moody might not be able to defend from Louis Diaz here in a turn 1 side by side. And Lucas Moody is way off the track there. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, and unfortunately he'll have to give up the podium spot. It's been a valiant effort from the Ball State driver, but he's going to try to fight this one back on Louis Diaz, and maybe he'll get a chance. A good little over-under move there from the Cardinals from Ball State, but will not be able to get back to side-by-side with Florida International there.
And that's a prime example of how important downforce is on a track like this. It's a very windy curve. You can take these quite quickly, but when your front wing's a little bit bent, you might have to take 5 or 6 miles off your turn. So unfortunately, that speed was a factor in there, and you lost that spot, unfortunately, due to damage.
Yeah, but he's really trying to fight this one back. He wants to be on the podium with us, to talk to us later tonight. Top 3 are invited to interviews, but it looks like our Muhammad Alif, I'm not sure if he's crossed the line yet to take the final lap due to time, but we'll see as there's still action going on between Lucas Moody and Louis Diaz right now. It's a lot, really side-by-side stuff, really clean so far. The time has hit the 30-minute limit. I'm not sure where our Muhammad Alif is in the running order. He might be taking the line in the next couple moments here, but that will bring out the white flag for sure.
Well, as I'm looking in our chat right now, it does look like there's a possibility that our number 2 might have a 10-second penalty, if I'm seeing this correctly. So that is going to change things up for our podium, possibly.
Yeah, and iRacing decided to throw the white flag last lap and not tell us, so they're coming to the line now for the checkered flag here, Keith, and it looks like Louis Diaz is able to hold off the damaged car of Lucas Moody, and the 2 Clemson cars are going at it side by side. Coming to the line here, potentially, who's going to come home in 6th? It's Nicholas Stockner, and right behind him is Andrew Burrell, his Clemson teammate. I'm sure those 2 will be very excited with that finish. A chaotic end of the race. Normally, you see the white flag displayed on your timing tower from iRacing, but iRacing decided to give us a little bit of a surprise. I thought there would be 1 lap to go when time expired, but there was not.
Man, iRacing is not having it for CIL this week. We had a similar situation with the Cup Series this weekend, and now it's coming over here. But it does look like a lot of these drivers look like. If I was at Clemson, I'd be very happy. If I was at Ball State, I'd even be happy. If I was in Florida International Universities, they've got some very, very solid results.
Keith, I don't mean to interrupt, but we have a penalty to report that affects your top 3. The number 42 of Robert Kiesel Jr. has been given a 10-second penalty for avoidable contact with the 23. We saw that earlier on in the race when the 23 and 42 were going side by side through the stadium sector. We're going to have to get a replay of that here in a second, Keith.
Indeed we are. So that pushes him what? It looks like that would probably push him all the way down to about 5th position, I believe.
I believe so. We'll get a replay though.
Let's see this replay. I'm curious what supposedly says.
That's Drew Williams in the orange car. That's Robert Kiesel Jr. in that navy blue car coming through the stadium section right now. Looks like Drew Williams. Oh, yeah, just, that's a tough one to call. The stewards did say the results are unofficial. I mean, maybe this is not what gave the 42 the post-race penalty for avoidable contact. And then, that's Patinella we saw collected with Drew Williams due to a result of that contact. But we will have to see. The top 3 officially is Alif. Obviously, he was way ahead of the field there by the end. Louis Diaz for Florida International, and then Lucas Moody will take the 3rd podium position in the official standings. We're going to try to get our top 3 to the booth here to get some thoughts and some reactions.
Yeah, indeed. That Ball State with that penalty, Moody's got to be very happy. The fact that he just went from being 1 step off the podium to now he's on the podium. So if I was at Ball State right now, I would be very happy with a 1-2 in the first and a 1-3. You can't complain. Actually, it's a 1-2-3 in the first and 1-3 in the second. So it was a great night for Ball State.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously a great result tonight from Nicholas Stockner, an alumni class win for the 124 car. A very exciting race from the Clemson driver, and I'm sure we're going to get to hear from him in a moment here, Keith. But I think who I want to hear from first is going to be our 3rd place finisher for the evening. It's going to be Louis Diaz. Second place finisher, Louis Diaz. Do you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Louis, great race. We saw you really charge through the field towards the end of that race with the making the move on Lucas Moody to secure the second place. It was third place on track at the time and second place following a penalty. But how much did those safety cars affect you tonight?
I mean, not really because race 1 I actually DNF, so I was starting last for race 2. But yeah, it was just all about trying to keep it clean and just trying to make my way through the field as fast as I could. Once I got up to Robert, it was just trying to work together to get that P2 and P3, which hopefully we can get reinstated once he appeals. But yeah, it was just about working together and trying to get past Lucas and keep him behind me at the end of the race there. But I don't know, it was a fun race going last from last to second basically.
So with the safety car, like Matt was saying, how did that mentally change, especially, coming from race 1, realizing that some of the drivers didn't fully make it with fuel? Like, how did that change your strategy going into the second race, knowing that was coming?
It definitely gave me a lot of confidence, just being able to know I'll be able to just fully make it. No need to do any fuel saving, any lifting. It definitely reassured me that I could just go, full push the whole race and not be able to not worry about not making it.
Awesome.
Yeah, Louis, great race tonight. Obviously, provisionally second place with the penalty, but I was trying to get your teammate back up onto the podium, of course, with the appeal. But before we send you on your way this evening, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the FIU esports members, especially Robert and Esteban that were racing with me tonight. We could have gotten all 3 of us on the podium, but it didn't go to plan because we definitely all had the pace to be up there. But just want to thank all of them and FIU in general for all the support.
Well, Louis, congratulations once again on the podium finish. Second for now. We'll see what happens with the penalty, but obviously fun watching you race tonight, and we hope to see you up here in the booth again sometime soon.
Yeah, hope to be back here soon. Thank you.
Once again, that was Louis Diaz from Florida International University. Coming home on track in third, post-race penalty, demoted the driver who came home in second, pushed Louis Diaz up onto the second step of the podium. But the driver I think we want to hear from who benefited the most from that penalty was going to be Lucas Moody from Ball State. Fourth on track, third following the penalty. Lucas, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Third place, first race, and then second place, or second race, third place. But honestly, a little disappointing with the wing damage and everything.
Yeah, talk to us about that wing damage, Lucas. We saw you had a little bit of that front end plane damage. Just how much did that affect you tonight?
So, yeah, I got the contact on that first green lap, and I didn't think it'd be too much. I knew pitting wasn't going to be worth it because it dropped me to the back of the field, so I knew that I'd have to just live with it. And it didn't affect me too much, just the high speeds, I was super slow, and interestingly enough, it kind of took away my ability to get a tow. I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, but even when I was right behind Robert, like 4/10 gap, I wasn't gaining on him at all. So it completely took away my slipstream, which is kind of like this series is DRS, so I had no way of really overtaking anyone.
So you guys dominated the first race. What was it? What was that strategy going into this race before you got the safety car of, starting from the back? How did you guys strategize before you knew all that to get to that front?
Yeah, so we were just kind of like, okay, let's make our way through the field, and then we'll start fighting each other. Basically I said, unless somebody makes a mistake, let's just focus on the rest of the field before we start fighting each other. And we did that pretty well, and we managed, Kale unfortunately got taken out, but Alif and I, we made our way to second and third before he had to get me because of my damage.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, Lucas, obviously we just talked to Louis Diaz. His teammate, Robert Kiesel Jr., was second on track, penalty demoted him. But obviously right now, as it stands, you finished the second race in third, so a great second race for you. But before we send you on your way for this evening, anybody want to thank or shout out on the broadcast?
Yeah, of course. So the first person I want to shout out is my garbage man, Nick. Nick Stockner. He's absolutely awesome. But then also, I'd like to shout out my parents. They watch me every week. My brother Andrew, my grandma. I have to thank my teammates Kel and Alif. They've been so helpful training me, especially this race. Alif would teach me all the ins and outs of the circuits. I also want to thank all of my sweet mates, Sam, Adrian, Josh, Kane, and my roommate Seabass, and all my high school friends that have supported me along the way.
Well, Lucas, congratulations once again. I'm sure we're going to hear from your garbage man here shortly, but congrats on the third place tonight. We hope to see you up in the booth again soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, once again, that was Lucas Moody from Ball State University coming home on track in fourth, but a post-race penalty to Robert Kiesel Jr. from Florida International. Demoted him a couple spots and then brought Lucas Moody back onto the podium. But a driver who had a very good race tonight. We don't hear from him very often on the road side of things, but it's Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University. Apparently Lucas Moody's garbage man. Nicholas, congratulations on the alumni win tonight. How chaotic was that second race for you?
I mean, I got to be honest, man. I didn't really expect myself to be up here. Started 12th in that second race. Had to do those pace laps because of the gas thing, and then we got started, and I'm gonna be honest. It was kind of hectic. Just avoiding the wrecks, doing more pace laps, and then doing the whole other rigmarole. I don't even know what to call it. Had to do a little bit of blocking, had to do a little bit of defending, like a lion, if you will. But it was an okay race for us. The Milliken and Company Daikin Applied America's FIA Formula 4 car, she was doing okay today. Just a bit too loose for me under braking, but that's kind of a feeling that I'm always getting out of these F4 cars because I'm not good. I don't know how in the world I got to this position tonight, but we take what we can get. And it was definitely a hectic race for us, but we had we had just a little bit of a little bit of just luck on our side.
Yeah, that's right. In these races, luck definitely do play a factor. I mean, with all those safety cars and stuff, were you mentally thinking? Because I know you kind of caught up towards the end, but were you thinking going on their safety cars that, hey, I could have a possibility to win this for alumni, or were you just kind of driving and hoping that you would survive?
Oh, there's no thinking about winning. I was mainly just praying to God. I feel like it's kind of like a divine intervention if you actually make it through one of these things. I mean, I've been wrecked out about a lot of times out of my own fruition because I suck at these cars. But I was mainly just praying to God. Just got to thank God. That's pretty much all I can say about that.
Awesome.
Well, Stockner. I know you've already thanked God, but is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening who really helped make this class win possible for you for this evening?
Well, I just want to thank God. I know without him, anything's not possible. I want to shout out the sponsors that continue to come on the car every week. Milliken and Company, Daikin Applied Americas, Lowe's of Harrisonburg, Opseat, Logitech, Haven Hair Studios, MB Suites, Handy Dan's Landscaping, Half Transport Incorporated, Orange Wheel Racing for continuing to believe in me and continuing to believe in our program. I want to thank my former Little League student Matthew Nordberg. Coaching him in Little League gave me all of the belief I needed. And all of my congregation, as I'm a priest on Sundays. I believe Matthew Nordberg's involved in that as well. Maybe Andrew Williams. And Lucas Moody for letting me take out his garbage. Other than that, man, that's just all we got to thank this evening.
Well, Stockner, you're plenty of people to thank shout out on the broadcast, and I'm sure they were all rooting for you tonight. But congratulations on the class win. Hopefully, we get to hear from you again sometime in the near future.
Oh, it would be lovely, but I highly doubt it. But we'll see about that.
Well, Stockner, congratulations once again, and have a good evening.
Well, thank you. You too, sir.
And that was the ever charismatic Nicholas Stockner from Clemson University. winning the alumni class for tonight's German Grand Prix in the second race. But the one driver who dominated the field had a bit of a close race with his Ball State teammate. It was Muhammad Alif, who came home in the first position in race 1 and race 2. Muhammad Alif, congratulations on the double victory tonight. How are you feeling, and how chaotic was that second race?
Extremely chaotic. I feel very good because we have achieved like our historic first ever podium lockout now in race 1. Obviously, race 2 was a bit of a different thing. Kale had unfortunately wheel damage. Lucas had a bent front wing, but my car was squeaky clean, so I kind of pulled ahead, and yeah, glad to bring in maximum points for the team, and yeah, we go again.
So going back to race 1, we were actually in the broadcast discussing that last lap. Were there team orders in place, or were you guys just open to, race each other? Because it was getting a little feisty at the end of race 1.
Yeah, I mean, no, there was no team order at all. Us three were always on Discord, and I never said a word to like hold position or anything. It was just no holds barred, go for it if you wanna dive. Kale was thinking about it, I know, and so I kind of braked extra late and yeah, we both were kind of, I mean, when I hit the line, that I started to started across the line because my fuel was gone, and Kale was same thing, so we kind of perfectly managed the fuel. So yeah.
Well, Alif, that's interesting to hear. The fuel was definitely at play tonight, and interesting second race as well, with the race finishing under the time limit rather than the usual 15-lap limit. But before we send you on your way tonight, you know the drill. Is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast that makes this all possible for you?
Yeah, my teammates, Lucas, Kale, Kelton, and the whole Ball State esports team for all the effort, all the practices. Our esports director Dan Marino and our esports assistant director Brendan for all their support as well. My family back in Singapore, and all my friends who are watching the stream. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you guys hopefully next week.
Well, Alif, congratulations once again. I'm sure we'll hear from you very soon, and take it easy tonight.
Thank you.
And once again, for all you at home, that was Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. A chaotic second race for him, and a chaotic second race for most of the field here, Keith.
Yeah, indeed. That the safety car start got it off with a little bit of an interesting foot, and then that infamous turn 6 did it again and brought out another safety car, which led our 10th position into winning the race tonight.
Yeah, for sure, and I think we saw a bunch of drivers get caught up in some incidents there. Turn 6, obviously, such a tight hairpin. It's such a, it looks so simple on paper with just you brake, turn, and gas it up, but with how fast you're going and how tight that turn is, it's, a pure hairpin. Sometimes you get corners which kind of open up a bit or kind of have a little bit of camber to them or something along those lines. This is very much, they took a line and put a 180-degree bend in it and made it go the other direction.
And it results in typically pretty good action. Unfortunately, like I said, there's a couple crashes today, but you saw some of the biggest overtakes of the entire evening taken out in turn 6, and it led to some great battles in track. And we were saying, other than beginning safety car and that safety car, it was some very good, respectable racing, like I heard last week was. So, I mean, what can we ask for more than good racing, respect on the track? And it was a great evening.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be fun to watch these drivers continue to race throughout the season, but I think that's just going to about wrap us up here at the Hockenheimring for tonight, Keith. But any final thoughts before we send everybody on their way?
No, I mean, other than the fact that, if you guys are enjoying this action, I know SkyL is about to heat up both Cup Series and the FC Series as we're grinding down. It is getting into that late part of the semester, but these drivers are still red hot and still pushing for their points, and especially in the Cup, we're getting close to playoffs, and here it's just all about getting your points. So that was good action. You want more? Come back Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, absolutely, Keith. You hit the nail on the head right there. So if you're looking for more CIL action, we're back on Mondays and Wednesday nights. Monday, October 23rd, race starting at 9 o'clock. It's going to be the 110 at the Glen as our drivers take on the first road course of the season at Watkins Glen. Expect some of our road ringers to kind of show up there at the Glen. I'm looking forward to seeing our Muhammad Leaf take on Watkins Glen in that big old cup car. And if you're looking for more open wheel Formula C action, we'll be back same time, same place next week on Wednesday, October 25th, race starting at 9 p.m. with the Belgian Grand Prix from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So that will be an absolutely enthralling race. I'm sure that long straightaway out of Eau Rouge down the Kimmel Straight into Lake Home will be absolutely fun to watch, Keith. But for now and from here at the Hockenheimring, from everyone here at the CIL, myself, Keith Brubaker, and everyone at the CIL who makes this possible, we really want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight to watch tonight's German Grand Prix from the Hockenheimring. We hope you had a fun time watching, and be sure to tune in next week. And as always, stay fast.
Yay. Yeah, that was some interesting action. I was not expecting